Assalamualaikum friend, hope you are doing well. Today our topic is financial support of the graduate student and his education. The cost of educating graduate student in biology as in the other sciences is rarely met by the student directly. His training is subsidized in a variety of ways. Half of the graduate students in the life sciences are supported federally. 42% enjoy federal fellowship and traineeship. 38% have non-federal institutional support. 30% are paid from faculty research grant, most of which are federal, and 8% are supported by other means, including their own resources. The pattern of federal support differs strongly by type of school and department. 68% of the graduate students in School of Medicine are supported by federal traineeship and fellowship, compared with 40% of students in graduate schools of art and sciences and 22% of those in School of Agriculture and Forestry. Federal support is provided for 66% of the students in the Department of Biophysics and 52% of those in departments of biochemistry, whereas only 20% of graduate students of botany receive such stipend support. These discrepancies arises from the source of these federal funds. Training grants supports over half of the federally financed PhD candidate. Only about 20% of the students hold national fellowship and institution grant take care of another 20% since the traineeship fund come very largely from the National Institution of Health. The criterion of health relatedness markedly affects their distribution accordingly. Students in Department of Botany and School of Agriculture and Forestry must seek other means of support. Competitive national fellowship which support about 10% of the nation doctoral candidate in the life sciences established stipend and prestige standard. Such fellowships are twice as important in private arts and sciences graduate school as they are in the overall sport picture because a relatively small number of prestige graduate competitive national fellowship loom larger in the sport picture in the northeast and on the Pacific coast concentration point for such institution of non-federally supported student more 75% hold university teaching assistantship and only a trifling number are supported by university fellowship fund. The importance of graduate student support is reflected in department chairman's statements of the relative priority of different types of fund needed to improve the department research individually. Increasing pre-doctoral stipend fund were repeatedly cited as a prime need in those departments that currently train graduate students. It was mentioned by the fourth of all the departments as their first priority and by our half as one of three most important funding categories. These data have led us to several conclusions. Stipend level, previously educate or no longer so 1970-1971 for 6 year national fellowship and traineeship stipend have been set at a 12-month standard of $2,400 for first year student, $2,600 for intermediate level student, and $2,800 for terminal PhD candidate, with an allowance of $500 for each dependent. In the meantime, the cost of living index has been rising at a rate of over 4% per year, especially in the more expensive area of the country. Graduate students, even those without dependent, are in serious economic straits. The availability of stipend for summer work unrelated to thesis research and to prolong the total period of graduate work for many students. Diversity of sources of support. The diversity of sources of support is intrinsically desirable. The federal agencies responsible for science generally, National Science Foundation, Health, National Institute of Health, and Education US Office of Education all make contribution directly at different segment of the total enterprise. We know that and deplore the absence of any significant contribution from the Department of Defense because until the National Science Foundation, the National Institution of Health, and the Office of Education acquire broader mandates or more adequate appropriation agencies that use substantial number of PhDs in basic sciences should contribute to the cost of their training. Diversity of sources of support is intrinsically desirable and leaves the non-mission oriented sources National Science Foundation Office of Education, making them freer to ensure adequate support for the least mission-oriented program and institution. In this connection, we note that until recently, the National Institution of Health has, for the most part, been reasonably bold in its interpretation of the health-related sciences. It is charged with supporting it has correctly recognized that biology is all of a piece and that is inherently impossible and historically fallacious to identify some aspect as related to health and other as unrelated. Indeed, it is difficult to imagine an biological problem of major importance that is without relevance to human welfare. So here is our topic will be end. So hope you will understand my this topic with this video. So please like, comment, and share with your friend. Thank you.